Today on AI Applied, Meta is continuing to make waves. I was just hearing today on some kind of news source. I don't remember where it was. I should quote it, but I can't remember it. But anyway, Zuckerberg on a podcast was talking about how quickly they're pivoting. And Jaden, when you think about them moving from the metaverse and literally naming their company Meta, or rather from social media, from Facebook to metaverse, and now how quickly they're moving into AI. Say what you want about Zuckerberg, but that guy moves lightning fast.
Yep.
And the huge news that's coming out of late, I think anyway, is first of all a continuation of who he is hiring, how they're all going to fit together, how much they're paying. Every time you see on X, like, oh, those numbers aren't real. Yeah, they are. Like, he really is spending this much on research. He's really going for super intelligence. But Jaden, the other thing you and I were talking about just briefly before we came online were these huge data centers, right? I mean, like really, really massive, like, Prometheus or something like that, right? And Hyperion, like these things which are absolutely colossal. And so anyway, so when you were looking at the meta news, because I know you were sort of like wanting to talk about some of this stuff, like what was interesting to you about all this stuff?
Yeah, okay, so you brought up a great point, which is just how fast Zuckerberg is moving. And my thing I would say to people listening is if you want your organization to move as fast as Zuckerberg, you absolutely have to try Connor's mindset course. He's created, I think, one of the best AI courses out there that does a couple things. Number one, it helps upskill yourself. But number two, if you're already like, I mean, you're in the bubble listening to this podcast, you're in here with us, you're trying to keep on top of the latest in AI, but everyone in your organization may not. So this is something that I think is amazing for his course that he's created. It's really powerful to give to heads of departments. Get your whole department to take this course and upskill everybody together so that you guys are as efficient as possible. The frameworks you need. This is an incredible course. You just got to try it. So there's a link in the description. And yeah, that'll help you act as fast as Zuckerberg is acting. Okay, so what the thing that I think is the craziest, well, let's get to the data centers in a second, but I swear
Yeah.
every single week we're like, oh my gosh, did you see the latest hire that Zuckerberg's got that he's hired? And you think, okay, Zuckerberg, he can chill now. He just hired like the top researchers from every single firm, or like two or three of them. Like he can chill now and go build his thing. No, every single week there are more. He does not stop. This week, apparently, and it's kind of crazy how we get this. So I want to read a snippet from this article from TechCrunch because it I think it gives us a little insight of the insider Silicon Valley, how we know who's moving where and what's happening,
Oh
and
yeah.
just also how prolific Zuckerberg is. He must strike fear into the very hearts of most of the CEOs in Silicon Valley at this point. So apparently, there's two researchers at OpenAI that people are saying are going to move over to Meta. And the way that this was essentially leaked or figured out, and people started looking into it and figuring out, is because people inside of OpenAI saw that there was one which is Hiren Wang Chung, and then I believe another one which is Jason Wei. Both of their accounts on Slack had been deactivated. They were top researchers, had been at OpenAI forever, and all of a sudden their
Okay.
Slack accounts get deactivated. Everyone starts digging in, and they're like, "Oh crap, Zuckerberg strikes again." So it's so funny. It's like literally like the Slack messages are now starting to cue us off. Everyone's probably wondering who's going to be next. But like you mentioned, the salaries are absolutely insane. I think some of these people would have to be crazy to not take it. And with the talent density that Zuckerberg's building, it's not like, hey, we'll pay you a ton of money to come work at, like, okay, no shade to IBM, but a little bit of shade to IBM. It's not like, hey, we're going to pay you a ton of money. You're going to come work at IBM on something that most people haven't heard of or whatever, right? Like, or maybe an old company. I'll stop picking on IBM. I know they are doing some cool things, but it's like, come work at this old company and we'll pay you a lot of money, but your stuff's never really going to get seen by too many people. That's not the case
Right.
here. Zuckerberg
Yeah.
he's like, look, I own WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, billions of eyeballs. Whatever you make is going to be used by billions
Yeah.
of people. And Zuckerberg's like, I don't want this to suck. So I want it to be as good as possible. Like, we have the distribution. That's done. All we need now is the absolute best technology. So people coming over know that their work is going to get used. They're getting paid absolutely insane salaries, and they have a good chance of winning in this race because Zuckerberg is hiring so many top researchers. And so the talent density is so good that I think a lot of people feel like this is a winning team that is growing. It's going to be pretty stinking hard to compete with Zuckerberg. I think most people don't understand Zuckerberg can just burn tens of billions of dollars a quarter on like VR for 5 years straight and have zero repercussions at all to his company. And then when it doesn't really work
Yeah.
out, it's like, okay, whatever. AI is a new thing. Okay, we're going to just dump all that money on AI. And now he's got one of the number one AI models. So I think that
Jaden, I love this. Can I just say I love this take? I love this take because it's something I hadn't really thought about before. If you're a baseball fan, I'm a Mets fan. So when Steve Cohen, who founded Point 72, comes over, he's just like, "You really think we're going to lose to the Yankees? No way!" Like and this is like Zuckerberg, right?
yeah.
Zuckerberg's like, "Look at what I'm willing to do," and I think that you're right because I think these folks who are getting $100 million pay packages at that level, you don't just start to think about the money because an extra million here or there is probably not overly significant. But what is can you beat everybody else's super intelligence? And Jaden, if you even look at the origins of Meta's AI recent origins of Meta's AI origins. First of all, Jan LeCun is the chief scientist. Like he's not sort of like running product, he's running science, and he's one of the great ones out there. But more importantly, it's starting to make sense. And maybe this is crazy, Jaden. Tell me what you think of this theory here, why they went open source. Now tell me, conspiracy theory, not conspiracy, but just radical theory. This feels like completely an ego move because even at the time I was like, why are they going open source? It just, I couldn't economically figure it out. Do you know what I mean? Like, and now they have enough cash cows maybe to go around it. But now it feels like Zuckerberg is going out to all these people and saying, I want you, I'm willing to overpay for everybody because we want super intelligence first. I don't even think it makes sense for Meta to sort of like have this drive towards super intelligence first. I think it makes a lot of sense for Microsoft, Google, maybe Anthropic, definitely OpenAI. Because that's where the enterprise dollars are going to come.
Mhm.
But that's not Meta's play. It almost feels like, and tell me if I'm oversimplifying this, Jade. It almost feels like, and maybe other people are going to be like, yeah, duh, like an ego play. Like Zuckerberg wants to hit this first.
100%. Zuckerberg has completely flipped. He is doing MMA fighting now, and he is in wartime CEO mode. You do not mess with the Zuck. He's like, his testosterone's out of control. This man is a raging bull, and he will not be messed with. I 100% agree. It's not like you think of Facebook and like a chat bot on Facebook, and you're like, this has to be the greatest AI to ever be
Right.
born. Like, it's
Right.
not
Who
getting
cares?
put into enterprise. It doesn't have like an API that's going to
Right.
get built into like a lot of things, especially because it's open source for most of what they got going on. So it just doesn't seem like it's that insane. Whereas like OpenAI, like, yes, if they have the best AI, they're going to make an insane amount of money, and everyone else too, right? So it doesn't, and like, yeah, if you go on Facebook, it's free anyways. So it's like not even
Right.
being monetized. It's 100% an ego play. Will it be big? Yeah, I think it's going to actually be kind of like you see like big branches out of big tech companies that sometimes get spun off in their own companies, sometimes that get bigger than the original company. You can think about the iPhone, for example. Apple was a computer company. They decided, okay, let's
Right.
make this new branch of phone. And now that's most of Apple's revenue. And Apple is a phone company. It's not a computer company. They do have computers, but it's a phone company because that's what
Right.
gives it all its money. I think Meta is a social company, and it's really hard for Zuckerberg. He's like hit a plateau pretty much with how much his social media company can grow because there's only so many humans on the planet, and he's saturated the market pretty much unless he gets into China or like, there's like crazy unlocks like that probably won't happen. So he's got to find his next thing. It was VR for a while, which didn't really pan out the way I think he hoped, but AI
Right.
100% could. And so I think he's chasing that as kind of his next growth vector that he can really focus on. And yeah, there's a lot of ego. He can put it into a product that gets used a lot. So I think that's how he justifies basically spending this money. But I think he wants
Okay.
to. I think he wants a
Okay.
new thing.
So to that, Jaden, let's talk about these data centers then, because I was just sort of like seeing this popping up in the news. They look like colossal data centers, right? So like, what's happening with that? You've probably seen more than I have
Colossal
on this.
data centers. Yeah, Zuckerberg essentially is building or Meta's going to build a 5 gigawatt AI data center. This is huge. Now, to be fair, it's not like it's going to be up tomorrow. I think that they're hoping that this thing is going to have 2 gigawatts of capacity online by 2030. They're also building a second one and so that one I believe is in Louisiana. They're going to build a second one, which is under construction right now, or they're working on, which is in New Albany, Ohio. And that one's going to bring 1 gigawatt on. It's a super cluster. It's called Prometheus. And that one's actually going to come online next year. So that one's going to be much faster. The other one I think is from scratch, this new thing, 5 gigawatts, which like that is an insane amount for people that like, if you're trying to conceptualize what a 5
Yeah.
gigawatt
Yeah.
data center actually looks like, Zuckerberg said it's almost the footprint of Manhattan. This thing will completely cover Manhattan. So like it is huge. It's hard to even fathom how big this thing is. So that one's
Shane,
gonna
I was looking up that actually myself, sorry, 'cause,
yeah.
I was thinking about, like, what is a gigawatt? 'Cause so it seems like it's equal to 1 billion watts, and to put that in perspective, 1 gigawatt, I was just looking this up on Perplexity, which I still love. 1 gigawatt can power about 700,000 to 1,000,000 average US homes at once. It's about the output of a large nuclear power plant, just for sake of
So
understanding the size.
he's building like 5 nuclear power plants. Actually, I guess 6 with the one in Ohio. So it's like 6 nuclear power plants, and, it takes a minute, but, like, he's gonna have 3 of those gigawatts online in the next 5 years, and then should scale up from there. So it's crazy, and also, like, that's just announced today. Like, what's he gonna announce tomorrow or next year or the year
Right.
after that? Like, I don't think we're gonna slow down. I think the problem that we're gonna all run into is not just building the data centers, but building the energy to power the data centers. Um, it's going to be crazy. And Zuckerberg, I think, knows that he has to build a lot of this infrastructure himself. He doesn't want to be reliant on competitors like Google or other people that might be doing similar projects, or even Microsoft was working on this. So I think all of these players have to work on, like, once they have the tool, they have to go downstream. They got to build out the data centers. They got to build out like power capacity. We have like Microsoft making deals with nuclear reactors to come back online that were decommissioned because they're like, hey, we want you to, supply our data center with power and stuff. So like you got to figure out where you're getting your electricity from. You got to figure out where you're getting
Yep,
your data
yep.
center compute from. It's a crazy world that's so much bigger than just, can you train an LLM?
It's huge, and it kinda goes to the case, and this is where I also want people to sort of, like, understand when they're talking about the environmental impact. This is what they're talking about when they talk about the environmental impact, because I think that there's a sense, or maybe a misconception. And by the way, everybody can make their own decisions on this, but I know when I talk to companies, I inevitably get a question when I'm talking sort of like the masses about, like, well, should we even be using AI? Because I heard that it really kills the environment. And I'm like, look, like you'd have to get to like 10,000 prompts to sort of like even match like what you're doing in that room in that in 1 hour, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like you're air conditioning that room, you're lighting that room, like
Yeah.
you're probably turning on the microwave to make lunch, all that kind of stuff. That's like 10,000 prompts. So I wouldn't think of it like that. But when we are thinking about what this does, and look, I'm a huge optimist, guilty, right? But I do think that AI will ultimately solve the environmental problem. Maybe I'm an idiot, but that's where I think that we have to look at this. We could do a whole episode on environment, but for now, we're gonna wrap this. But just to sort of say, like, listen, when you look at what Meta does, uh, this is a it's sort of like the Elon part, right? It's like run by an individual that has a huge ego, not no shade to him or anything like that. Just sort of saying like
Yeah.
this guy is absolutely going for it. So Meta is one of the most interesting stories to follow here, I think. Don't forget to check out AIbox.ai. You can, for $19 a month, you can get every tool. This is Jaden's startup. We love it. It's like so cool. It's saving me just tons and tons of money, which I'm personally happy for because I know he's invested a lot in it. And also leave us a rating and review. We so appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time.